Now Caro has left the room.
Okay, I think maybe her mic or
Okay, I
something
think
was
maybe her
on.
mic or something was on.
Little echo.
I hope she
I hope she
rejoins.
rejoins.
This is tempting. I want to do this too.
This is something I want to do this too.
Wow.
It's live
It's
streaming.
live streaming.
Oh,
That's so
you
scary,
think?
Oh wow.
Julia.
We're live.
Wow.
Okay. My bad, guys.
Don't do that.
And we are promoting wellness, well-being.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eventually, we all
Eventually, we
have
all
to
have
sit
to
and
sit and
laugh
Natural
like
laugh like
this.
this.
natural beauty.
Yes.
Hello, people. Hello, everyone.
Hello
Yes.
everyone.
Hello,
Yes, hello
everyone.
everyone.
How about
How about
Caro?
Carol?
We'll wait
We'll wait
for a
for
minute
a minute
more.
more.
Let's see
Let's see
if
if
Poojya and Caro
Carol
can join.
can join.
Can one of
Can
you
one of you
try
try
checking in the
checking in the
group
group?
as to what went
The
wrong?
group. Yeah, she has mentioned. No. Okay.
She says call
Just call
ended.
in it.
Yeah. Do you? Does it only allow two people or something like that when you go live?
No, no.
No, no.
Two or
Two
more
or
is
more
what
is
they were
what
telling.
they said.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Are we audible? Are we visible? Please.
Yes,
Yes,
very
very
much,
much.
very much. I'm just
I'm just
watching it in
watching
my
it in
tab
my
as
tab
well.
as well.
Oh,
There's a bit of an echo.
okay. Okay.
So we'll
We'll
begin in that
begin in that
case.
case.
Let them
Let them
join us and
join us
when
and then.
they're free. So thank you all for showing up this evening. For me and for this discussion forum, Let's Chat, which I represent, this is the first event going for a Facebook Live. So I might sound a bit amateurish. So we request all of you who have joined us online today to pardon us if we do any sort of a mistake. In fact, our first attempt had a technical glitch because of which we had to call off. But we all thought, let's all take this again, try this again in the interest of a discussion, and also considering the interest in the topic that we have chosen. We thought it's important to listen and learn from each other. So today in our panel, we have 4 practitioners. 2 of them would join probably in about 5 to 10 minutes. And they would share their thoughts on the idea, rather the notion of well-being. With us is a certified clinical psychologist, Priyanjali Paul from Kolkata. She's the founder of Meandering Minds, who's also doing or pursuing her PhD at Christ University, Bangalore. Another speaker is Julia Antony, a wellness instructor from Cochin, and she's also an ACCA first rank holder in 2018. ACCA denotes Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. The other 2 are Carolyn Theresa Simon from Bangalore. Carolyn is also the founder of YogaCaro, and the last speaker is Poojya Bhounsle from Bangalore. She's an international certified fitness trainer. So in one of the interactions in which I was the moderator, the audience, after I introduced the panel members, asked, we know who the panelists are, tell us who you are. So I'll just make an attempt of doing a self-introduction. I'm Rishikesh, and I'll be be the moderator for today. And I run a small discussion forum called Let's Chat. When I conceived this idea of commencing a forum for discussions, the primary intention was to build a small community, a community of people who are willing, rather aspiring to learn from each other and engages in some sort of thought stimulating ideas, or rather in engaging in some meaningful conversations. And therefore the name of the group was kept as Let's Chat. And therefore the name of one of the flagship event that we keep hosting every month, at least twice a month, was also named as Samvad, which means charcha, or a sort of a conversation. Because I believe somehow over a period, especially in the social media platforms, we are losing out this culture of debate and discussions. Most of it becomes us versus them, adding fuel to the fire of getting more and more polarized and sectarian and identity-based societies, where people fail to talk to each other, but they end up talking at each other. So as a community, we also, of course, do have differences among all our members, but we have thrived for almost 4 years, and the post-pandemic has really been good for all of us in terms of exploring the possibilities of organizing events like these, which otherwise were not held as frequent, at such frequent intervals. So till date, we've done about 20 events with scholars and celebrities like Sagarika Ghosh or Kanan Gopinathan, the senior IAS officer, Sachitanandan sir, Ranjini Jose, Isha Farha, and so many other entrepreneurs, like the owner of Medimix, Double Horse. And tomorrow, in fact, we have a session with Christo George sir, the founder of Icon Group. So that's a bit about, it's not a bit, I think I spoke quite a lot about the platform which I represent, the Let's Chat discussion forum. And I'll be the moderator, as I mentioned earlier. And I would request at first all of you to do a self-introduction, probably speak a little more in detail in the order which probably we can follow throughout this discussion. So at first, I'll invite Poojya, if she's there online. No, I'll go.
So
go
just
with,
a minute, just a
Poojya
minute.
and
Yeah, so both of them have
right.
actually messaged on the group because they're trying to get in, but they're not able to. So
not able
Okay.
to join.
yeah, they're trying right now.
I'll try.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll just
Meantime,
share this link with them.
all
I'll
right.
share this link on our group. Share. If they can join. I think once we are live, probably they might not be able to join. I don't know what is the issue.
Or, anyways, let's. Should we
continue.
proceed or?
It's up to you, sir.
Okay, I think we can proceed right now.
Yeah.
Because the interesting thing about, for the time being, we have only Julia online as a fitness instructor, is that their what work that they do becomes quite tangible and it's quite visible. Probably in terms of I've seen a lot of fitness instructors taking the pictures of their clients probably 10
Before and after.
10 months prior, yes, prior to their workout,
Before and after.
and before and after, exactly.
Yeah.
But for a clinical psychologist like Priyanjali, she has to deal with more of a mental transformation, which I feel is further challenging and not that easy to deal with. So I at first invite Priyanjali to speak, then Julia
Sure.
to do a self-introduction. Over to you, Priyanjali. I'll meantime try to add the other two speakers as well.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, sir. I think before I talk about myself, since you said that a lot of people ask that who you are, maybe I think I want to talk a little bit about how I know you, or what is my perspective about you. I think when I joined Christ to do my PhD, pursue my PhD, I think we used to be neighbors in terms of cabins, right? And I think you are the first person I think I connected to in terms of conversation. As you
Okay.
mentioned that stimulation of thoughts. I think you're the first person that we used to have a lot of conversation randomly, like when I used to go to college and probably just see you first, like just greet you, good morning and something like that. We used to have a lot of discussion about normal day-to-day things, like normal, maybe like it can start with politics, normal education, psychology, and various subjects where I felt really intrigued and interested about the vast knowledge you have about so many subjects. And the most important part, it's such a good listener you were. And you have really motivated me throughout this journey. I think I could be in college for 1.5 years or 2 years after that lockdown happened. But throughout that like 2 years, I think you have motivated me on various like several occasions how to probably talk about several things. Maybe sometimes we also didn't agree on several things, but
True.
still the kind of conversations we used to have without having an argument, rather having a discussion, that kind of made me, I think, influenced me a lot. I think that's why I became part of Let's Chat, though I cannot contribute much, but I keep seeing the discussions and it really intrigues me a lot. So thank you so much, sir, for that actually.
Thank you. You didn't do your self introduction.
Yeah, I will. No, so because you said that a lot of people were asking you, so I thought that let's do this.
That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah. So, okay. As you know that I'm Priyanjali. I'm a clinical psychologist and registered by the Rehabilitation Council of India. So I'm from Kolkata, as sir mentioned, and I have this page which I call Meandering Minds, because I think our mind meanders a lot, and I'm trying to. It's not that we do. I with Meandering Minds, I kind of try to bring that awareness or bridge the gap between the scientific research that are available, that go on every day, and our everyday knowledge, our common people's knowledge about mental health. I think there is this gap between these two. I always felt that, because as a researcher, I have felt that yes, we do a lot of research and lot of new techniques, new strategies, new concepts about mental health, about well-being, about overall wellness. We discovered that a lot. Hi, Pooja.
Hi,
Hi,
hi.
Hi, Carol. Hi,
Hi,
everyone. So
Pooja.
we are all of us
Hi.
are here now. Okay.
Yes.
So
Pooja, we just began the event. Yeah. So
yeah,
we are currently doing a self intro.
yeah. Hi. Okay. So yeah. So as I was saying that uh, yeah. So there is this gap that I have always felt, that though we have a lot of scientific advancement, research advancement, and we do keep saying about all these things, but it is kind of confined in the research community, confined in the scientific community. I am especially a neuropsychological researcher, neuropsychology researcher. I'm pursuing my PhD in that field only, neuropsychology, and I primarily deal with children, adolescent, and adults, young adults, in my research. Though I see clients from various age groups, so I kind of felt that neuropsychology, the concept of neuropsychology, needs to be needs to be bring into everyday conversations, because the concept of brain and the concept of neuroplasticity, how we can influence our brain, influence the changes in our brain, so that we can influence our daily life. Previously we used to think that people used to think that brain is a very static region and you cannot really make changes to it. Whatever development we go through during our childhood, it stays like that. And if you develop a mental health condition or a mental health disorder, or any disorder, not only mental health, or any kind of disorder, that actually stays. And if it damages or your brain, or if it impacts your brain, that stays. But now we know that we can actually actively do activities which can influence these changes, and it can happen throughout our life. It is not only confined to our childhood. right? And there is this book called The Brain's Way of Healing, which actually where it has mentioned several accounts of like first person account of people who has cured themselves just through some physical activities which stimulates few brain regions, and they have cured from Parkinsonism. They have cured someone who after accident who lost his ability to walk, but after these activities, after this brain stimulation, they started walking. So there are a lot of amazing aspects to it which people do not know. Which and if they knew, probably I think in lot of cases it can replace medicines also, right? So with meandering minds, what I'm personally trying to do, I think we talk a lot about mental health, but we do not talk a lot about brain health. When we see clients also, very few therapists actually tell their clients, how their brain is getting affected affected by stress, affected by anxiety. We usually, all of us use the similar techniques some way or the other, and we usually give them the technique. They do it most of the time. They don't practice those activities because I really feel that when they take those homework, and if we do not tell them that why we are actually asking them to do those activities, it becomes a one-way process, because now people live with information. People want information. They do not like to have that, because if even if you prescribe medicine, they will search in Google and find out what is the reason, what are the composition, why I'm prescribed this medication, and so on. Similarly, same goes for therapy techniques. If you do not tell them that why and how it is helping your brain, how it is helping your mental health, they are not going to do it. So I have personally seen in my personal practice, that when I tell them that how their brain works, how this therapeutic techniques are going to help their brain on a daily basis, and how that can lead to symptom relief, be it depression, be it anxiety, be it any other serious mental health condition also. When I tell them that, they actually feel motivated and they do that actually actively, do all those activities, they follow all those activities actively. We call it neuropsychoeducation in our private practice in a technical term. So
Okay.
yes, mentoring mind is all about that, and bringing that awareness to people, psychoeducating them, and bridging the gap between neuroscientific research and everyday knowledge of people about mental health. So that's about it. That's about myself. Currently, I have joined an organization called Bhounsle Mind as a lead
Okay.
clinical psychologist, and I'm working there as well full time. So, and it is also a startup. So we are kind of building a setup, building an organization which catered to wellness, catered to well-being of people. So that's all about me. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for that very detailed, elaborate self-introduction. Now, I think Poojya comes with um, a different perspective when it's fitness, because she is certified, international certified fitness trainer, and has been working in this field for the past almost 4 to 5 years, if my understanding is not wrong.
That's right.
So over to you, Poojya, to do a very quick, a very brief self-introduction, so that we have other avenues to explore in this probably 1 hour of engagement that we have with people who are online. Over to you, Poojya.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. So I have started with fitness about, again, it wasn't like a plan of action that I wanted to get into fitness, be a coach or be a transformation coach, who I am right now. There was no plan of action like this when I initially started. It was just about myself and with my experiences. And going on building experiences, coming across people who needed what I was doing. So the kind of work I'm doing, the service what I am currently giving, is not just for people to have get into a good aesthetic results, but it's mostly for their mental health and for their well-being. So these are the basic ideas, reason that have started FoxFit. So FoxFit is, ideally it might on the, on a superficial level, it might look like it is just, for bodybuilding or for weight training. But really way back, it goes really deep into the fitness and health and well-being and mental health and all of these points where we are trying to, really hit, the family well-being and where the family can impact each other is what I'm trying to, build, or the kind of culture I'm trying to build with FoxFit. More than this, it's not for me. It was about, see, everybody can work out, everybody knows certain movements, but here it's about somebody being there, trying to help you with their health, trying to keep up with you, trying to help them keep up with their fitness and their health and all of that. I realized that was the point where the gap wherein I had to fill up, and just trying to fill that gap in where a lot of things have changed from where it started. Ideally, it started as a group class instructor. I've trained over about 200 different batches in a couple
That's
of
quite a
three
lot.
months, and in a years it went on to about 1,000 and 2,000 it went on. So I've trained quite a lot of in a lot of places in Bangalore, all the big institutes. But later I realized it's not about trying to reach people, but it's about really giving each individual the best result I can. So FoxFit, I'm trying to work individually right now and help as many as I can. So that's about it. Right now I'm trying to get into nutrition, understanding how important the food is for a particular person, the individual needs, because everybody comes with different backgrounds, their health, their family, the prior history. So I'm trying to understand. So it's basically like each individual training is like studying a project and working on understanding history, their future goals, and trying to really take care of every person is like a project. So it's really
True.
interesting, and yeah, that's about it. FoxFit as a whole, it might on the physical activity level, but it's really more to do with mental health and well-being and the real health that goes behind the transformation.
Great.
So
Wonderful story. One of the things which I'm surprised is you, both Pooja as also Julia, they have a commerce background. But what made you switch you know, your career, if I can call it so, into fitness and well-being? I think I'll first listen to Julia because she was also the ACCA rank holder. And from that, what made you conscious about health, mental well-being, fitness, and all that? Over to
Yeah.
you. Do you have something to say? Yeah.
Yeah, can
Yes.
I just interrupt? Can you change the privacy setting to public? It is private, the live session. It is
Okay.
private.
All
That's
right. All right.
a lot of
I'll do
people
that.
can't. Yeah.
I'll do that.
Right.
Yes. Over to you, Julia.
Right. So, why did I switch from commerce to health and fitness? So, I think health and fitness was always a part of my life, but more of I've been told that I need to be healthy because my father was always, practicing yoga, and he was also practicing the personal meditation since I was very young. The day it really struck me was when I was, after many years of studying. Obviously, you can't rank unless you studied quite a bit, and when you study, your posture is really bad. You're always like leaning over with a pen, and you've got a lot of stress on your neck and stuff. So after I finished my papers and I joined EY, I had to work at a computer for like 8 hours a day. And that is when it really got triggered. Like, so all that work that I had done while studying got really triggered by sitting still for like 8 hours. And I had the beginnings of spondylitis in my neck, and my whole right side was completely like, it would just get swollen, and I'd get bedridden for 2 days at a time sometimes, and I just couldn't continue that. So I had always had a small yoga practice going on and practice regularly, and I noticed that every day that I did do my 1 hour of power yoga, I could manage the pain a little bit more. It wasn't that the pain was gone, but it wouldn't, overpower me, and I wouldn't become bedridden on that day by the end of the day. So I knew very obviously that yoga was something that could heal me if I was able to do it in the long run and without adding that stress of the 8 hours of not moving, you know. So that's why I decided, you know, one day I just thought I need a 1 month break. I'm just going to go and do some yoga for a month. So I went and got my certification because, you know, I didn't go there to become a teacher, a yoga teacher. I just wanted a month away from work where I could practice yoga for a month. I went there, came back with a certificate. And something that yoga and things like meditation and yoga does is it just changes your priorities completely. So after I came back after a month of that, I couldn't be in that place anymore. So I quit after about, I think, maybe 3 weeks. I just up and left the work. I can't do this anymore. So I just left, and I had no plans to start teaching. And because lockdown started, I had nothing else to do. And I had the certificate in hand, and I just started teaching my friends and my family. And from there, it just organically expanded. So there wasn't really a goal like I need to change lives or anything, but I was just seeing the difference with each person that I was teaching yoga to mentally more than physically, because physically yoga takes a long time to work. But mentally, the changes were significant. Like they were able to, you know, they were able to rest, sleep better, and they were connecting with themselves better. And the same thing that happened to me, the things in your life that are harming you negatively starts falling away by themselves. Like if you're in a bad relationship, for example, it will break away. That person who is holding you back is going to leave. Or if you're in a bad job, you're going to want to leave it. If you're eating bad food, that starts to change, you know, without even realizing it. You start enjoying the taste of things that are good for you. So this is what I started to see in people, and it just grew from there.
Great. Poojya, when you said that the health is not an individual problem, it's many a times a family problem. I was easily able to relate with whom I know. There's a person called Debashish Chatterjee, who's currently the director of Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. And he had cholesterol, and he said when he consulted a doctor, he said it's not, you can't solve this, you know, taking care by yourself. You'll have to orient your entire family, because it's your wife who cooks food for you.
Yeah.
It's your children who brings you know, other food items for you. So an entire family has to get sensitized. I think it was a brilliant point that many a times health, wellness, well-being, physical wellness, mental wellness, everything is it's a collective effort, which most of the times we have to do. Now, I'm just thinking about the current day context that we are living in. The COVID-19 pandemic, I think, it has radically changed the way we live. From our work to our learning to our social lives. And for sure, everyone would agree that this situation is far from normal. And this change is quite unprecedented in human history. At least I've never thought that I'll have to sit and work from home for almost 18 months now. So this new reality, or if we may call it the new normal, poses a unique set of challenges for all of us. I think now more than ever, practicing self-care has become an imperative, or rather it has become quintessential when it comes to taking care of our emotional health and physical well-being, or whatever you call it. On the broader umbrella of wellness is what my understanding is. All of this comes under. So I feel self-care is not being selfish. It's actually a time of incredible anxiety, stress, you know, isolation. Sometimes people are feeling ostracized, because focusing on what makes us feel nourished, on what gives us meaning, is part of easing those feelings and giving us a purpose to wake up for everyday morning. You know, there are so many things which are distracting, which are not that encouraging. And I say this from my own personal experience. I've woken up several mornings feeling uncertain about what I'm going to do the next hour or the next minute. So my question here is, amidst all this pandemic, the need to care for our own health, all aspects of it. I don't know what all comes under wellness. That's something which I would love to listen to you. That's why I said all aspects of wellness. I think that's the point at which we can initiate this conversation further. Let's look at what is your idea about wellness, or what is your definition or interpretation of wellness? I will take a round, one round each. Over to you, Priyanjali. What for you is wellness?
Okay. So I will start with, like, I will take that cue from you when you said that self-care or self-love is not being selfish. I just want to give you an example of one of my clients, which I recently I had one session with. So she's a single mother. She is in her 40s, and she has two children. So she obviously, as you know, that being a single mother, taking care of all the aspects, like financial aspects, taking care of these two children, she's staying alone. So all of that has made her very overwhelmed. Right? She is on
True.
the verge of burnout. Probably she had several episodes of burnout in past as well, and right now she came to me with several issues, right? And when I after that was the first interaction, the first session, and after the entire session, when I told her that it is important right now, because that you take care of yourself, and probably this is the first investment that you are doing to yourself, right? Because you have invested in your therapy, and right now this 1 hour, it's just about you. And starting from today, every day you make sure you find at least probably 1 hour for yourself where you just focus on yourself, be it doing anything. You can do anything at that time, and do not, and that space will be a very private space to you, because she doesn't get that time. Either she is working, either she is with her children, or she is doing something for the family or something like that, right? So when I told her, the first thing she asked me, are you asking me to be selfish? So, and actually, when you told me, I just remembered her that sentence. So now, at that point of time, I just asked her that, why do you think so? Then she said that, okay, we are certain things are expected from us, and if I don't do that, and if I, just told me that 1 hour is a very big time for me to be all by myself, because probably my children will come and talk to me and something like that. Then what do I do that then? So do I just tell them that I don't want to talk to you? Then I told her that it is not about being selfish. So rightly you said that self-care means that it's, I think, when you in a flight, the cabin crew, when they explain us about the oxygen mask, you have to put on your mask first before you help others, right? If you are not healthy mentally, physically, and from all other aspects, you cannot take care of anyone else, because it is like an energy that you send away, right? Now, as you said, that wellness, according to me, it's not only mental health, it is not only physical health, it is not only any other health. It's basically an integration of all these aspects of our life. It starts with our mental health, our physical health. It adds on to our social interaction, our financial interaction, our occupational interaction, and everything, every little thing. Because we as a human being, we do not stay in a vacuum. We evolve, right? And every little interaction, it affects our mental health, it affects our brain, it affects our psyche, right? And it deeply affects us, even if when we are not aware of it. For example, when you see a dream which is completely out of your control, and when you wake up, you have had a bad dream. We may have experienced that. All of us experience that. Kind of that entire day kind of becomes very bitter, because of that bad dream, right? Even if that is not under our control, that little thing also affects us. So just imagine that everything, how every little thing that we do, that we experience, that affects us, right? So when I talk to my clients also, it is not that I talk about only mental health, as I think Julia and Pooja will agree to me, with me, I guess, that I always, in the first ready session, I tell them to do some physical activity every day, be it any mental health issues. It can be any physical activity, because it's not that every person is comfortable doing yoga, or every person is comfortable doing workout or go to the gym, right? So I just tell them that do any kind of physical activities, because when your body is active, your brain secretes few hormones, secretes few neurotransmitters, few chemicals. which actually increases your level of happiness, which increases your level of overall positive emotions. The moment you have positive emotions, it will directly affect your thought process also. It is likely that when we are happy, we usually do not have negative thoughts. We usually
Right.
have positive thoughts, right? And it affects our overall activity also. So when you have positive mindset, when you have positive emotions, you will automatically be indulged in or be motivated to be active, right? That will be
Right.
a day when you become productive also. So I really feel that everything affects everything. It is not only, just you take care of only your physical health, you take medicines on time, you focus on, fitness, you focus on activities, and that's it, you're not doing anything. So I really feel that you have to focus on every little thing, whatever is it is that, affecting yourself. You have to kind of avoid that. You have to deal with that at that moment. For example, when we talk about toxic relationship, right? When we talk about social interaction, every day, be it any relationship, no matter how close it is, even if with your parents, even if with your partner, if the emotional interaction is being too toxic, that needs to be taken care of, because when you sleep with that kind of emotional burden on you, that hampers your sleep, that affects your sleep pattern, and that affects your overall thinking pattern, and so on, right? It affects your overall well-being. So to me, it's an integrated process. Wellness is an integrated concept, and you have to take care of it. It is not being selfish. It is be actually you're taking care of others also, because when you are happy, you can actually, release that energy to others, to the environment, to the universe, so that others can become happy also.
Yes, I think it's a good point, but how feasible is it in the times that we are living in is my question. Because if I can take my own example, there were days in my life, probably in the past 18 months, wherein I had spent about 17 to 18 hours a day online. My screen time just used to increase because, my preparation is online, my delivery is online, my research work is online, my attending a workshop is online, my meeting is online. Then what else? My administrative work is online, the convocation is online. So everything has, since it is, I mean, I go to office online, I've attended weddings online, I've attended protests online, when a CIA protest and so many other protests we've attended online. So everything, since it is has increased the screen time, staying online for so much longer hours than I used to, or being cut off from the loved ones, it's been not that easy, that I could deal with. So how do one stay focused and ensure that their productivity from work stays all the day long? I mean, what has been your experience, Poojya, in dealing with, probably first you can explain your concept or understanding of wellness, and then add on to how has this pandemic treated you, or how have you treated the pandemic? Over to you, Poojya.
Yeah. So I really, most of my work as it goes, it is online and it is offline. It requires me to be very physically active and make sure everybody else is also physically active. So again, like an instructor's work is, during my sessions, I will be training with them as much as they are training, and I have my sessions as well. So it's physically and mentally you're busy. So it's not just like you're mentally out there, so you're like showing, moving around. So that's quite a lot of work compared to just communicating online or anything like that. So what has helped me during this pandemic is I think during the first lockdown when it happened, there was quite a lot of stress that went on through with me, because there was everything went on to online, and a lot of changes have happened when it comes to family or when it comes to work. And suddenly there was a time wherein you don't know how to take things from in-person training to put it everywhere online and make sure you're still successful. So you really are on the verge of a breakdown where there's just like everything is falling apart, but you want to gather your strength and still stay solid, and still you know your clients are still looking up to you. You're the coach, you're the role model, you're the inspiration. So if I have to still stay strong and still feel good, I have to gather myself and make sure I'm in the right mind before I help others with this. So getting myself onto that place wherein I can be the same person I was, even if there's even if there's thunderstorms, everything outside happening. So that's where I really got into meditations and spirituality and all of this. So I think spirituality, being a little more spiritual in today's world, uh, that's the irony, in today's world, is where helped me stay balanced and stay open-minded, and help me really balance off myself, being strong and helping others stay strong on the same pace at the same time. So I think the spirituality has really helped me you know be the best version of what I can in this pandemic. So I think that has worked magically for me, and I don't know how I got into it. I think just the meditations or something. So I would recommend everybody to really spend as much, even if you get about 10 or 15 minutes, if you can work about 10 or 15 hours a day. And I think even a 20-minute meditation can make a whole lot of difference in your life. So I would recommend everybody who's watching this to really spare some time with meditation. 10 to 15 minutes is all you need. So probably if you can do morning, or if your work schedules are really tight in a day, for example, like you said, if you're having like about 10 to 15 hours of work, so that 10 minutes meditation, it works magic. So that's one of my top recommendations, not just what I'm recommending you guys, but everybody. One of my clients who was in such a place wherein even the physical activities weren't helping them. So what I did was I got the client to get into spirituality and meditation, and then into physical fitness, and that's how I transitioned this particular client, and it worked wonderfully for this person. So I would suggest, even if you cannot even if you're not in a place where you want to physically get into activities or try to help yourself physically by doing anything, it's okay. But I would suggest you just start off with meditation. That will really help you step into the next step slowly, one by one. You can take a lot of things easily. It's going to come easily. You won't find it that hard once you get into meditation, because your mind is relaxed. So you're basically tuning the mind, and then you're tuning the body, because only the mind can help you work on the body. The body wouldn't listen otherwise. So I would help each an individual, and each and every person and each and every client is different. So how I would tackle a particular client mentally, psychologically, or with my words, cannot be the same with another one. So dealing with two other people, I can't have the same approach. So this pandemic has helped me understand a lot about individuals and how the mental psychic works. So that's again been a challenge for me, just being a physical instructor, to trying to being able to understand them on a mental level. So that has been a journey, and that is something I never, that came as a surprise for me, as to being into physical instructor. And since I work as a transformation coach, the end goal is to give them results, right? Results.
True.
With physically it might be the results, but that is going to be achieved only through mental transformation. So it's for me, it's working about on their mental transformation, and then working on their physical transformation. So that's something which is invisible. That's something that happens behind the curtains. But yeah, that's the real job than actually giving them physical results.
Okay. One point which you mentioned is about the spirituality part of it. But then I was wondering, in the I would say, post-pandemic time, uh, there are several fitness instructors, just like mushrooms, has come up in the social media platforms. And I personally don't know whom to choose. So how do we find the right instructor? I mean, that's one question which probably Julia can respond to. And the second point which Poojya had mentioned is about how much your priorities have changed post-pandemic. For me personally, I've understood who and what matters. I mean, eventually that has been the great lessons, takeaway for me. Who matters in life and what matters? Because that, that has been a greatest lesson for me. So just adding one more example, I'll pass it over to Julia. I think I might have mentioned this during our clubhouse event where Poojya and Priyanjali were one of the speakers. I had to deal with a student, and he had texted me after almost 4 to 5 years, and he just wanted to have a chat with me. But that chat went on for about 1 hour of a conversation. And he comes from a filthy rich family, and what for him the trouble was that it is the first time ever in his life that he had stayed only with his biological parents and his uh, sisters. So there was some sort of a helicopter parenting which was happening, hovering around every time he moves out, steps out of the house, getting a phone call every second minute. Beta, theek to hai, come back fast. Hope you've got taken sanitizer. And he just couldn't handle the love and the care and the affection of his own parents. And he was asking, I mean, that was little shocking for me. His question is, sir, can I stay away in a paying guest accommodation? Because I just can't handle this. Are you getting my point? I mean, this is a new challenge. Everyone is having their own struggles, their own battle. So have you come across such, such intricate cases, such, as Poojya had rightly put, each client is a different set of a notebook, rather a textbook, which you have to learn first and then, give them guidance accordingly. So have you come across such clients which are, or what has been your experience post-pandemic? That's number one. Second, have you come across some interesting such cases where you had to deal that client, which might be a unique approach which you might not have practiced with others? Over to you, Julia.
Okay. So I think I want to talk about the relationship with the pandemic and the mushrooming of awareness and yoga teachers and spirituality because of the pandemic. So it's more of a chicken and egg story. It's like, what came first? Was it the need for all of this that caused the pandemic, or was it the pandemic that created this? So so I think let's go to an overarching principle of balance that this universe runs on. So we always have male and female, night and day. There is the sun and the moon. There's always a balance in this universe. If you have an up, you're going to have a down. Even the stock market, you can see that. So there's always a balance. So for many years now, the human civilization has been going through a yang period. Yang is a masculine period. So in what you mean by yang is anything masculine, which is like, creating, doing, being active, always going out and getting things done. This is the place that we've been living in for the last almost 500 years, 500 to 1,000 years. We've been living in this kind of energy, a masculine yang energy. So the natural balance of this is for the universe to push us into a yin energy, which is a feminine energy, which is all about, being receptive and observing and being still and knowing who you are. And instead of, jumping out and go and like moving in a direction, actually knowing where you want to move first before you make the movement or before you make the action. So the pandemic, in my opinion, would be a very natural, universal way, energetic way of forcing people to be still. And that is why we've all been stuck at home, and we're facing difficulty because we're not used to it, because we've been constantly doing this yang lifestyle. And this is not just a man-woman thing. This is every single individual. So both men and women have been living in a yang lifestyle. I mean, women are a little less because, we do stay at home more. Like that is a internal personal thing. But overall, civilization has been living in a yang energy. So the minute we've all been stuck at home, we're forced to deal with ourselves, which is the first yin thing that you need to do. Be still and face yourself. And when you're forced to be still and face yourself, you realize that there's so many things that is inside you that you haven't even dealt with, like from your childhood. If you've had any problems, you just covered it up with other things, or like achievements. Or I used to be a very high achiever because I had a lot of anxiety and I didn't even realize that. So I was just like constantly doing things and achieving and like getting awards. And finally one day I realized, hey, I'm in pain. Why? So my yin happened right before the lockdown happened. Maybe like, I don't know, my energy was in touch with what was going to happen. So 2 weeks after I quit my job, the whole world came to a standstill. and that is why when my experience with the lockdown was actually very, very positive, because that's what I wanted. I wanted to shut down for a while because I'd been going on like 100 since the day I was born. And I'm a twin, so I have a twin sister as well. We've always been competing with each other like nonstop since like we could talk. Like we've always been competing. So this was a huge experience for me, and I told you, I didn't even plan to become a yoga teacher. This wasn't a plan. This was just an innate need that told me that I need to be still. And so when the lockdown hit, I could deal with it. But then I could see people around me really facing difficulty because they were not ready to face themselves just yet. Like that inner need to like be still had not kicked in yet, or maybe it had kicked in but they hadn't realized it. And the minute this happened, people started to face themselves. They realized, oh, I have this issue, I have this issue, I have a mental issue, I have a physical issue, I have an emotional issue, I have a relationship issue, family issues. That's when they started looking for spirituality. And then they started finding fitness instructors. And people like me who wanted to teach and had a lot of knowledge became fitness instructors. Like, we realized, okay, there's a calling. And I didn't even know there were people around me who needed it. I just knew I wanted to do it. So that was the shift of the energy. And now everywhere you look, there's meditation. People are always talking about meditation. This is the result of being forced to face yourself. You realize there's so much crap that you need to deal with that you need an hour to sit there still and just see it and face it. And that's you bring the name meditation into that. You need to be still and watch it. So this is one thing that I had understood, which is this is just a shift, just a natural balancing of energy that's happening. And
Yes.
once we also we need to be careful that it doesn't go too much into that side, but it won't. I think that technology and awareness, and also especially spirituality, will help us guide us into a place where we've gone so much into yang, we're going to go into yin a little bit more, and then we're going to come and just balance in the middle. And this is where humanity can flourish. There's a saying, I think Osho or someone, I think Rumi had said that when civilization has to flourish, it's like two wings of a bird. Both the masculine and the feminine needs to be strong. So right now, masculine is super strong, not just in men, but in women as well. And we're going to start strengthening the the yin wing. And then as a civilization, we will fly and we will, rise up. So aside from that, you had asked also, sir, that how can you maintain productivity? Throughout the year, like you've got like throughout the day, 16 to 18 hours of work. So I would say exactly what Poojya said, which is meditation. So I had discovered Vipassana meditation through my father when I was about 19 years old. And it's a 10-day course that you do. It's a 10-day free meditation course. And the whole course is just staying with yourself and observing what you are experiencing in that moment. And the benefit that I experienced from that is high productivity. So what I would take like about 8 to 9 hours to study, I came back and I literally took that same number of pages. So it's cool because we had planned it out. It was 30 pages a day. So the same 30 pages took about 2 hours as opposed to 8 hours before. And this is like continuous studying. It's not, we didn't take breaks. Like I used to sit for 8 hours. And like my parents used to bring me the food at the table. I'd eat there and still study. So there's no like, I can't sit here and I need a break. The brain was actually slower, and it actually picked up speed after the meditation. So when you have a day like, a 16-hour day, I would suggest meditate in the morning before anything else happens, before you open your phone, before the whole world comes in and occupies space in your mind. Meditate for about at least 10 minutes, just watch your breath as it moves in and out. If your mind wanders, it's fine, guide it back. Don't judge yourself, just keep bringing your mind back. It's not about concentration. It's just about seeing what's in your mind. If you have a lot, and every day it changes, on one day there might be so much and my mind just cannot sit still even for one breath. I can't even watch one breath from the beginning to the end. And I accept that because that means I have put in a lot of junk in my mind yesterday. Maybe I watched a movie or like 3 movies or 5 movies. I tend to do that sometimes. Or I read a book, or I met a lot of people, or I had a lot of dreams. Because of that, my mind is very active. So I'm aware of that. Before my day starts, I don't blame the day for it. I realize my mind was already like that. And then maybe the day might reflect that. And then in the middle of the day, when you're taking breaks, just for 5 minutes, watch your breath. And that, it's crazy. Like you go in, and you sit for 5 minutes, and before you do that, your mind is so chaotic. You come out of it, it's still chaotic, but somehow the productivity increases. I don't know how it happens, but the work that gets done, like you can only measure it by the work that gets done. Like you can only measure it by the number of ticks on your checklist. It's just much faster. So maybe in the middle of the day, like twice, 5-minute breaks. And at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, another 5 minutes. This will really increase productivity and maintain productivity. And that burnout feeling, it won't happen. And I understand 1 hour is a lot. Like I meditate for an hour in the morning, but it's after so many years of realizing and getting the benefits. Like I was so inconsistent. I'd meditate like once a month, but that's a starting point. It doesn't matter if you're not consistent. It just matters that you feel the benefit and you're like, okay, this actually does help. And then years down the line, when you really need it, that seed is planted and it'll come out when you really need it.
Wonderful observations from all of you. I think from all your thoughts, what realization I've had is wellness is multidimensional. There is physical wellness, a healthy body through exercise, nutrition, sleep, yoga, or whatever other things that you can do. There is an element of mental wellness, wherein engaging with the world through probably learning new things, problem solving through some creative stuff. There is also an element of emotional wellness, being in touch with or being aware of accepting things as it is, or being able to express one's feelings with others. Then there is also, I think everyone was talking about spirituality, our search for meaning and purpose in life, or probably our own human existence. I mean, those are all bigger questions which probably I don't know, I don't have an answer. But then there is also social wellness, connecting with people, interacting with people, contributing to other people, contributing to or giving back to the communities, to the societies. There are so many things. Then there is also environmental wellness, healthy physical environment, free of hazards, free of so there are multiple things that in my case, as all of you had rightly pointed out, one of the things which I've also realized is they can be instructors, they can be, you can take help of your parents or probably your friends, your relatives, but eventually, isn't it a soul search? Isn't it an individual journey? Because what I've realized is no matter what all you have, I mean, I always thank my parents because they taught me, they found interest they found that I have interest in music and they taught me music. They found interest, I think, in literature a bit. So they've been giving me, so there are multiple things that they've found interest in. And this time of, I would say, isolation, because, I got married in 2013, but ended up in a divorce. And it was a period of that, the time that I had to deal with, the kind of lot of social stigma, the kind of people's attitude towards you. Everything changes. And for me, I always thank my parents because I had music with me. I had, literature and so many other things which kept me occupied. So no matter what, my personal take on wellness is it becomes an individual journey, it becomes an individual responsibility. Yeah. And there are multiple things which comes under it, which includes your emotional, spiritual, social, and so many other things. So any quick thoughts on that about individual responsibility of one's wellness? Anything that you wish to add on, Priyanjali?
Okay, I think Julia has mentioned something which, I think she was talking about mindfulness when, focusing on your breath. So actually, I also suggest my clients that, like exactly that 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes break. And, in the morning, during the day, once during the day and in the afternoon. So and also I ask them to do some mindful daily activities. So it can be, if you can do it even if when you are having a cup of coffee, when you are having a cup of tea, just,
Yes.
breathe in the aroma, just hold just feel the warmth. Just forget it, just don't touch your phone. We usually do that. When we eat also, we scroll through our phone, or we watch TV. Just put everything aside, and when you are having that cup of coffee or cup of tea, just feel in the aroma, and so your five senses are active. Just feel the warmth, and just be present. Just probably count your breath, and just do that, do what you are doing right now, right then. And you can do it, even if you can do mindful walking, you can do mindful bathing also. So a lot of people usually tells me that I don't have so much of time, I don't have time to do yoga, I don't have time to do meditation, I'm just super busy. So I actually tell them, like I just tell them that, this, I teach them this concept of mindful daily activities. You don't have to find time for mindfulness or meditation. That mindfulness can find you in your daily activities if you really want that. As you mentioned, that it is a responsibility, like a lot of people come to therapy, and when we tell them about the activities, because usually we lack awareness, right? In general, we lack awareness, and people do not understand one thing, and they say that, we just thought, this will be a 1 hour session once a week, and something magical will happen. Something you will say or something you will tell me about, and I will just suddenly change. And like the depression, whatever I'm going through, whatever my the stress I'm going through, everything will vanish. So it is important to realize that it doesn't work like that. We as mental health professionals, I think fitness instructors, wellness coach, whoever is there to guide you, we are just there to guide you, nothing else. We cannot actually make you do things, right? You have to understand that. And it is definitely the first step they have taken is, just by coming to this session. I always appreciate that. I always tell my clients that, I appreciate and I thank you for taking the first step. But now it's a journey, and you have to take the next step also, right? Otherwise, it won't matter. So when you go back, after the session also, I always tell them to reflect on the session. What exactly you are, what you are taking out, what is your, what is that one thing that you have learned from this particular session. So when they do that, that reflection happens. So one thing I always do in my personal life, it has always helped me, is noting down my thoughts, thought journaling. It actually helps. Other than meditation, other than mindfulness, it actually helps. It has helped me a lot, because most of the time because our brain is, I feel like it is a powerhouse. It has so much of energy, and it has so much of thoughts going on every day, and sometimes contradicting thoughts also, which actually affects our overall well-being. So I always ask my clients, it can be in any language, in your language, and you can write anything. Some of my clients actually, they draw pictures of, when they reflect on the day. So I ask them at the end of the day, just reflect on the day and just write probably 3 things that you saw someone else doing good, that you did, that made you feel good, or something good that you observed. That's it. And probably reflect on the day. Just note down it, just jot down your thoughts. That helps a lot, because it is decluttering of your mind. We declutter our place, we declutter our workstation, our house, right? And that gives us that sense of, that pleasant sense of, some kind of very
Space.
pleasant sensation. Yeah, exactly. And in the same way, when you declutter your thoughts, when you write them down, and you just objectively look at that, thoughts, and that you are having inside your mind, and you just let it all out, you feel that sense of relief. And that really works. That has helped me a lot personally, because there was a time when I lost my father, especially, and after that it was a difficult journey for me, because I was very attached to my father. And throughout this 10 years, 10 and 11 years, 10 years back, I lost my father. I have been writing. When I write my journal, I kind of address it to my father. I don't know, maybe definitely he is not being able to read that, but I somehow feel that I can connect through that. And it actually gives me that sense of peace within. So it can be anyone. You can address it to yourself, you can address it to no one, you can just address it to the diary also. Trust me, it helps. You will feel like that's a friend for you. So yes, other than meditation, other than mindfulness, other than physical activities, and also I want to mention one last thing, that your self-care routine is yours. You can actually find out few other activities also, which I might not be able to, or we might not be able to tell you.
Exactly.
It is your own self-care. You will know what kind of music suits you, what kind of activity, it's actually gives you peace. So it is important, as you said, that it is our own journey. It is important that we take responsibility for our self-care, right? Other than whoever is there to help us. Definitely they will be there, but you have to take responsibility.
Yes, I think Poojya had beautifully said it earlier. She said, we need to fix an appointment with ourselves once a while. It could be 1 hour a day, probably 10 minutes, and we are our own chief happiness officers, CHOs. Yeah, we'll have to discover our own happiness. It's a soul search. It's a sort of a soul journey where, of course, there can be instructors, that there can be trainers, there can be fitness, all that, but eventually it's all our individual responsibility. Any comments to add on, Poojya? Okay, over to you then in that case,
Okay.
Julia.
So I just wanted to add one thing. So you had asked earlier, there are so many teachers out there, how do you choose one?
Right.
So there's a saying, again, I'm so bad at remembering who says what, but they said that the teacher arrives when the student is ready.
Right.
So, the people who show up in your life as teachers, I mean, ideally, and if you resonate with them, you don't have to think twice, like just trial and error. And most places do give you a free first trial. So you can always go and see if that's the person that you need. And usually what you need is what shows up at that point. And always you will be graduating. So I think of things that I find in life as like schooling, different grades in school. So once you learn everything you can from one person, the next person will come and you'll graduate to that. And you'll know that because you're interested in what that person has to teach. And you'll keep finding entertainment in learning from them. And this first one will get a little boring. So drop it, move to the next one. Again, that one changes, you move to the next one. So life itself has a way of sort of helping you evolve and finding the teachers in the time, in the place where you need it the most. And you can receive it the most. And
Julia,
it's something...
isn't that true with relationship as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm from personal experience. Like I've had relationships, and like right now I'm in the best relationship. I know this is the relationship I'm going to be in for the rest of my life, But every single time I was in a relationship, my parents used to ask me like, why are you like moving from one to the next, be like, I'm learning something from each one and I'm applying it to the next relationship. And no one really around me had that same thought process except the person I'm with right now, who also says that in every relationship he learned a few skills that he is using with me now in every single relationship, and that is what makes our relationship work. We're using what we've learned from all of our previous relationships. So yes, absolutely, life
I just
is always teaching.
want to add one thing, because you asked this question that how to choose. When it comes to mental health, I would ask whoever is watching, make sure that, because as we know that there are a lot of mental health professionals out there now, like mushrooms, as you know, and a lot of people actually without any qualification, without knowing, how to actually, what are the things in mental health, because especially with clinical, because I'm a clinical psychologist, especially there, in India, you cannot practice as a clinical psychologist without RCI registration. Now it is important because when during MPhil, I went through a lot of training sessions with in several hospitals, in several in several hospitals, both private and government. Now, why it is important when it comes to mental health, just like medicines, if you go to an unqualified doctor and if they prescribe you a medicine which is not suitable for you, it can actually interfere with your well-being. It can make serious damage to your physical health. In the same way, in terms of mental health also, when you go to a unqualified mental health professional, if that person doesn't know what he or she is dealing with, what they are dealing with, it can actually damage your mental health. And I have seen many people being through that. There was this client who is a child, and who had OCD, like obsessive compulsive disorder, which is a clinical condition. And he came to me after going to two counselors who was not actually who was not a clinical psychologist, and who definitely wasn't supposed to deal with a clinical case. And this one counselor, she told him that, there is this demon in your head which is asking you to do these things, and you should not listen to that. That was her way of doing it, because probably she did not go through that experience or that training. I don't know from what perspective she did that. When this child came to me, he was literally crying, and he did not actually, he at that point of time, he just lost all interest and belief and trust on all, including doctors, on all health professionals actually. And he just kept on telling me that you will also tell me that there is this demon in my head, and it scares me. I cannot sleep because of that. Just imagine the kind of damage it, it took me around 4 sessions to just build up the rapport with that child. And he was just 13 years old, right? So it takes a lot, because you are dealing with your, their mindset, their mental health, and you are connecting to them on a very deep level. So it is important that yes, when you seek out therapy, when you are concerned about your mental health, just go through their profile once, or you have every right to ask for their profile also. You have every right. Just remember that we don't come from a very authority, we don't have that authority, and we are bound to give you that profile, that who we are and what have been our experience and how I'm eligible to deal with this particular case. It is important to ask.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to add.
Great thoughts. So Julia, I think your point was when the student is ready or the student is prepared, the teacher arrives.
Yeah, but when the teacher arrives, you research the teacher a little bit before you fully trust the teacher. Just a side note.
Got it. So, and your point was, I forgot that. Now, Priya?
My point was, yes, exactly what Julia added later on. So yes, the teacher arrives, the mental health the professional arrives, but you make sure that, you research a bit, and then you go through the trial definitely, so that you know whether you, sometimes it is possible that even if that person is qualified, you just don't, get into that thing. You just don't click.
One thing. So another thing, having your own inner guidance. So we've all been given this very, very powerful guidance system. And the problem is that it's there, it's powerful for everybody. We've all been taught to ignore it from when we were children. So we want to play, they've told us go and study, and we want to do something else. They basically built a timetable, like society has built a timetable, your family, and it's all done with good intentions. It's not like it's some evil master plan or anything. Everyone's just doing the best that they can. But the end result is that you stop trusting your inner guidance because you think that it's guiding you in the wrong direction. So even when you're with someone, like even if you find their profile great or not great, if I could have spoken to that 13-year-old boy, I would have told him, she's making you cry, she's making you miserable. This is your inner guidance system telling you don't be here anymore. That's it. It's that simple. But then the problem is that he'd have some parents going like, no, this is the right place to go. So they are teaching him not to listen to his inner guidance. So try to rebuild that rapport that you have with your feelings and your emotions, because it's such a powerful way of telling you how to go, relationships, like, fields of study, anything. If it feels good, follow that.
I just add on to what you said. So there is an inner guidance, but then many a times the parents or probably your friends or relatives misguide you.
Yeah.
And therefore, when I had to deal with that student who had approached me after 4 or 5 years, and I connected him with one of the psychologists, and he said, it's not an individual problem. It's again a family problem. The counseling has to be done not for that individual, but for the entire family, because the approach has to be holistic.
Yes.
So I think we have taken a lot of time. I won't take more than 5 minutes just to ask one question. What I've understood is all of you are passionate about what you've chosen. It requires a lot of time, your involvement. But I don't know whether it's the right question to ask. How feasible do you think is it to stay in this profession? Because I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this might also be interested looking at the monetary aspect of it. Now, and before that, I also want you to ask another question, which is about when you chose this profession or your career, how was your parents' response? Because I'm sure they would have you would have come across a lot of reluctance from the parents in terms of it's a non-conventional thing. It's not like an engineer or a doctor or so many other things which normally people choose. So how has been their response, and how did you convince and choose your career path? And do you think it's meaningful and purposeful to stay in this profession, and how economic is it, if I can use that word, is it to stay in this, or is it rewarding? If I can be a little more gentle, what makes you stay in this profession? You can take a turn. I'll come to Julia at the end, because I have also a request. I want you to sing a song for us. I know you're a brilliant. So that's
Wow.
with which we'll wind up the session.
Okay.
So first to Priya, and then to Poojya, and we can listen to your thoughts and some concluding remarks by all of us with a song.
Okay, you have asked, I guess, two questions. One is how feasible and how fruitful it is, or how rewarding it is, and whether how our parents reacted, probably, right?
Right.
So, okay, I'll answer your second question first. I'm blessed with very supportive parents, I would say. Though unfortunately, my father couldn't see me being a psychologist, being a clinical psychologist. I lost my father when I was in 12, but he knew that I had interest in psychology. So, and he has always been very supportive in whatever I did. And I remember him saying that, I know that you will do something unconventional, because I never had interest in the mainstream studies. I never liked the mainstream science, physics, chemistry, maths. I hated. And at the same time, I didn't like the mainstream arts also, like, history, geography. I had interest in, but when it came to study, like, really, like, studying all those chapters and giving exams, I really didn't like it. So I always wanted to do something unconventional. Actually, that is the reason I chose psychology. It was not out of interest in psychology or something. But after graduation, I fell in love with the subject, and then actually nothing could stop me. And my mom has always supported me in whatever I did. Definitely, there were some adversities in terms of, when it comes to mental health profession, and when it comes to clinical psychology especially, you have to have a very long journey of education. You cannot, especially after masters, you have to do MPhil. Now I'm doing PhD because that is my passion, because I like to do that. But it is a long journey, and financially, if you do not have support, it actually, it is very difficult to do it. So fortunately, I got scholarship. I got a junior research fellowship. I qualified for a UGC net. So that helped me definitely. But then, yes, that is the only adversity I would say. But other than that, I was probably very lucky in terms of support. Next thing is, I think during pandemic, all these professions are very much flourishing. So I don't have any complaints in that. Um, and the second thing is, you said that, like, yes, the first question is how much feasibility is right now. As I said, that it is flourishing, but yes, it sometimes it becomes very taxing in terms of our own mental health,
True.
because, you deal on a everyday basis. I deal with probably almost 6 to 7 clients, sometimes more than that. And I hear so many stories, so many different stories. I like what I do. I like listening to people. I like listening to different stories. But yes, at the end of the day, it feels really, really overwhelming at times. So yes, it is taxing, not financially. Financially, it is nice and good, but mentally, it is. I also personally reach the verge of burnout sometimes. I always, as I said, I personally do mindfulness. I personally do meditation a lot, though I'm not very consistent. I'm still in the journey. Probably I will take help from both Pooja and Julia someday to do that. But yes, but one thing I usually maintain is, I always connect with people I really connect with. Like, it can be my partner, my mom. I always talk to my mom at the end of the day, even if it is for 5 minutes. I sit and talk to my partner every day, for, when we are having dinner together, or, after the dinner also. We just discuss about the entire day, or I do thought journaling a lot, just to declutter my mind, what happened throughout the day and what is bothering me. And after that, I go off to sleep. That actually helps. Personally, that helps a lot, right? Because it is important. You have to give yourself that time when, you declutter your mind, and the next day again another new day begins, and new set of people, new set of clients come to you. And yes, you have to connect with them on a very basic level. And one thing actually, one of my professor taught me to compartmentalize. You just have to, put a
Shield.
boundary between your own self and your own experience and the experience that you are listening from others. Because if that boundary is lost, you cannot be objective. You will be affected mentally and emotionally. You will be connected. You can be connected emotionally, but still you have to maintain an objective stance. For example, yes, you can cry with your client if you are feeling sad, but at some point you have to maintain that objective stance also. So I think with years of practice, and I'm still learning, but yes, I have little bit have learned how to compartmentalize, how to maintain that distance emotionally with my clients, so that I don't get affected that much when I probably hear about stories about abuse, about a lot of intense stories throughout the day. So yes, that's how I deal with it.
Great. Over to you, Pooja.
Yes, the profession is definitely feasible, and talking about how monetary beneficial it is, especially during the pandemic, it is more of a blessing for me, because I have got an opportunity to work with so many people, and most of all help so many people. And yes, I could, if I have to say I've changed their life, I will proudly say that I have changed lives, because transformation that I've been with them, the 100-day period that I work with them, really I help them on a daily basis, like breakfast, night, dinner. Like I'm trying to keep up and understand what's going on. So it's not like
And in
one.
that
So
process, I think we get transformed, no?
yes,
Learning from, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
great.
So more than this, yes, I might have taught a lot of them, but I think what I have in return learned for myself and grown as an individual, and impacted my lifestyle, my family. As you grow with your mentality, when you're trying to work with the different individual, help them see results, the individual who you are, the entire personality changes. I think Julia also can relate to me in this on so many points, because that growth is, again, you're again giving back the energy to your clients and helping them get better. So it's again, it's a progression, and the progress, it has progressed very well and very smoothly. And the career is definitely good, but on the other side, initially there were a lot of struggles. Monetarily, my parents, we are well, well placed in life. I'm very blessed for that. But parents, yes, they were initially gave me a lot of support. Again, like Julia told, it all went with intuition. I knew there was, IT is not for me, or commerce or whatever. It's not for me. For me, there was something that was driving me. I think the restlessness I had when I was in a corporate job, and I feel all the creative energy was just like logged in, and that restlessness I could feel build up and get increase on a daily basis, and I just needed a channel to release everything. So I think this whole physical activity, being a physical instructor, has just opened like 100 doors for me to just release everything and show all my creative side. So that's just been a really nice. So again, if you're a creative individual, you don't have to necessarily, just be into, probably dance or music. There's again a physical activity where you can help individuals creatively have fun with their lives on a daily basis and still feel healthy and still feel good. So that's where the whole element of FoxFit is about having fun while you're transforming your life. So this is what I've tried to bring them. Fitness doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to be crying on the mats or lifting weights. It doesn't have to be like that. You can laugh, you can have a lot of fun and still lose weight and still be healthy and be lively as much as you can. So these are the something that I've tried to bring in there, and what I'm trying to show up with FoxFit. It is what really it's made of. So the fun and the happiness and the positivity is what I'm really trying to channel through this.
Great. Wonderful. Great to know. Yeah. Julia, over to you.
Yeah, so about the monetary side of it, as Pooja said, in the beginning stages, it's quite difficult. So I'm in the beginning stages. So I just began about 2 years back, teaching the teaching part of it. So financially, I did have some difficulty. I still do have some difficulty, but luckily I have a twin sister who is, following her predestined path in finance and commerce. So she's earning well and she's supporting me. And my family my family was, like I mentioned, my father was the one who brought yoga and meditation into my life in the first place. So he completely understands it. But we spend so much time and money on the ACCA and the finance, everything that I've learned till now.
Right.
And they've invested a lot of time and energy into that. They invested a lot of time and energy into meditation, music, and yoga as well. So, it was quite even. So they do have this thing, don't waste it. And like I said, everything in the universe is about balance. So I'm also all about the balance. So I'm not going 100% and, all the way into wellness and like completely losing touch with the physical world. So I am planning to get back into the finance world as well and use my ACCA, get back into the corporate world, bring wellness into the corporate world, where I think it is the most needed, because so many people just stuck in one place. I would just love to go and just shake them up. So I have 1 year left to complete my ACCA experience. So we need 3 years. It's just like the articleship, chartered accountancy. So 1 year left. So this was the reason my mom kept saying, like, please go back for that 1 year, complete the certificate, then you can do whatever you want. So I'm going back. And who knows, hopefully I will be able to stay if I'm able to, and if it permits me, and if I'm actually able to make a change, then I will stay there and do that. Otherwise I'll come back into the yoga scene. It doesn't really matter to me how much I'm earning. And I know that wellness is the future, because just yesterday, no, day before yesterday, I was watching the Apple podcast, not the podcast, what was it, what do they call the thing where I forgot, when they launch a new product once a year, they have that. I forget the name. So I was watching the latest one, and I realized Apple is actually a company that does the things before the rest of the world starts. So they're the change makers. And their last presentation was all about all the wellness products that they've included in their product. So they've got platforms for wellness, and they're all connecting wellness teachers to people who need it, and like very, very detailed about nutrition, about fitness, like everything. And if Apple is doing that now, that's the next product. This is going to be the future. And also, like I mentioned, the whole world was in the yang style, all about getting things done, and now it's all about yin, which is yourself, your health, mental peace, all of that. So this is where the world is heading. So wellness is definitely the biggest industry that's going to exist. Wellness and technology are the two biggest industries that's going to happen. So no doubt that is going to make us a lot of money, and it's the perfect time to start, because it's just starting. By the time it actually is big, you'll be very established and have a lot of experience.
Right.
So, yeah.
Great. See, one of the reasons why, because in this platform I represent Let's Chat, one of the reasons why I started such a forum is I wanted to stay connected with people from whom I can learn, and disconnect with people whom I don't like to associate with. Yeah. So it's been fun. So, all of us will therefore have to find out our own ways of exploring and finding happiness, or finding wellness, aspect of it. And my attempt, just as Priyanjali comes from Kolkata, you have a beautiful lady from there who had once said, it's not about doing big things with small love, it's about doing small things with a lot of love and passion. On behalf of everyone who is watching this, I would say this is our small attempt. It's not a big thing that we've done, but these small attempts, I think, can bring about a lot of perspective change and bring about a lot of mindset change. Thank you before I invite Julia for what she has for us.
Okay. So the song I'm going to sing is called Vienna by Billy Joel. And it's one of my favorite songs ever, because it's all about slowing down and taking time to enjoy life. And it's exactly what we're experiencing right now by force. So here it goes. Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile. But then if you're so smart, tell me, why are you still so afraid? Where's the fire? What's the hurry about? You better cool it off before you burn it out. You've got so much to do and only so many hours in a day. Hey, hey, but you know that when the truth is told, that you can get what you want, or you can just get old. You're gonna kick off before you even get halfway through. When will you realize Vienna waits for you? Slow down, you're doing fine. You can't be everything you wanna be before your time. Although it's so romantic on the borderline tonight. Too bad, but it's the life you lead. You're so ahead of yourself that you forgot what you need. Though you can see when you're wrong, you know you can't always see when you're right. You're right. You've got your passion, you've got your pride. But don't you know that only fools are satisfied? Dream on, but don't imagine they'll all come true. Oh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you?
Thank you.
Beautiful.
See, one of the best gifts that you can give is your time. You've given almost 2 hours of your time. Thank you for your time, as also for the wealth of ideas that you've shared with all who have been watching this. Let's keep this conversations alive at some other point. We can do it at a bigger platform, and let's do our bit. So hopefully we'll all be back in Bangalore at some point, and we'll need to do some offline events as well. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank
On
you.
behalf of
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Can I close this?